Yo, welcome to my podcast, ConverStayShuns. I'm your host, Devin Boyd, aka Lyrical Instrumentalist. And let's go ahead and get this started. I just want to apologize for not putting out an episode, I believe, over the past couple weeks. I just been like hella busy, and actually I've been doing different things for my businesses, and I started to kind of push ConverStayShuns to the side, not intentionally, but I realized that I was starting to actually neglect ConverStayShuns, and know that I need to really get back on it and get back on my grind and my hustle with it for ConverStayShuns to keep this going. I feel like it's a good way to connect with different people who may need to be hearing these kind of topics that we're going to have conversations about. So that's kind of, been where I've been at on the past couple of weeks. And then, like I said, this month and it's been going really fast. Most of the time I don't really realize what day it is. It's just, it's just taking one day at a time, I guess, or 3 days at once. I don't know. But yeah, I've been really busy, but I'm back on it. During these past couple of weeks, I've been having conversations with different people about the particular topic of today's episode, and hearing their feedback and opinions and their thoughts. Some I can kind of agree with, some I can understand, others is like I can't vibe with it, so it is just gonna be me on this episode. I do want to just kind of, I guess, again, when it's me solo, I'm not venting. I don't want people to put it that way. I still like to always provide two different perspectives. Of course, it's going to be my opinion and my experiences, but just to still provide different perspectives, again, so different people can understand. And again, not trying to convince anybody of anything, not trying to persuade you, just have a different understanding, or maybe even give you a more stronger argument for sometimes with people are in their ignorance. And I say stronger argument, meaning basically some people argue different things that they believe is fact, but they have no evidence of what they perceive as fact, or they're really just talking out the side of their neck, just based off of again, I guess you could say their ignorances. But so like I said, the topic basically, as you probably read, is homosexuality. I live in Austin, Texas, which is a hippie city as far as I'm concerned, and the LGBT community is real huge out here. And I know some people aren't for it, some people are totally against it and hate it, and some people just don't really care. Like it is what it is, it doesn't affect them at all. So I guess I'm kind of more one of those people. It doesn't really affect me at all. I have family members who are under the quote-unquote LGBT community. I'm saying that, but I have a whole thought on the acronym, but which I'll come to that later. But I'm just going to say homosexuality. So I do have family members that are homosexuals, and I'm cool as fuck with them, right? Like, they're family. Like, I love them and have no quarrels or any issues with them. That's my family. I'd fight for them just like I'd fight for family members who are hetero. My biggest thing with people who have hatred towards anything, to me, hate takes too much energy. Hate is draining. So I think I said this on a previous episode, but like, I know I've grown just as an individual, and I used to say how I hate stuff, or did have hates for stuff, but then it's like after a while, I'm like, me having this hate is getting me where, like it's not beneficial to me at all to actually have that hate and hatred in my heart for anything. Now, there's things I just have a really strong dislike for, obviously, like racist and like the Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that. I won't even say I hate them. I just have a strong dislike for them. But when it comes down to it, they're people, and I don't hate people. Sometimes maybe I hate the idea that some people have, or but not I guess I just kind of contradicted myself, but like, I don't hate people. Sometimes I hate ideas that are to basically upset or disrupt or have a negative impact on somebody else's life. When it comes down to it, this person's particular life or lifestyle really has no negative impact on yours. And if it does, sometimes I feel like some people make it an issue when it's really not. So like, excuse me, like with homosexuality, no, I'm not homosexual. I've never wanted to be one. I heard people say like, well, I experimented and did some things in college. No, I've never done that at all. I am not attracted to males at all. No, I love women. So that's where my flavor is in women. So I'm never gay. Not at all. But with that said, I have nothing against homosexuals at all. And a lot of people, so let's just back up. Let's just describe what the word homosexual means. It means homo means same, hetero means different. So heterosexuals is what I am, meaning that, basically you like to have sex with the opposite sex of yours. So with the different sex. So homosexual means that you like to basically have sex with the same when it comes down to it. So we, if you think about that, then that's what a gay and a lesbian is that. Now, I feel like over time, different objects and inanimate objects have now developed a sexuality, such as clothes and earrings and bracelets and cars and colors. Like, now these things are gay all of a sudden. But when it comes down to it, these particular objects, they can't be gay. A shirt can't be gay. I don't see a shirt fucking another shirt. Excuse my language, but not really. Let's just be real. But yeah, I don't see two shirts getting it on in the closet. And then if it is it because it's a male shirt? I don't know. Sounds dumb, but that's how people's perceptions are sometimes. But what I'm saying is, basically, people are people everywhere you go, right? So I'm not focused or fixated on what's going on in somebody else's sex life, whether it's hetero or homo. Like, to me, if we as individuals are fixated in somebody else's life like that, then maybe we have some kind of issue or problems or things that we actually need to work out with ourselves. Because like, people are out here like, man, these fags and these homosexuals, these homos, these queers out here fucking around, blah 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 blah. That's just gross. They fucking another the same, blah blah blah. Okay, all right. But I could say the same thing, like, yeah, you got these straight people out here, they're just I could say the exact same words and it really has no meaning. Now, I get some people's standpoint where, with procreation, obviously the same sex can't naturally procreate, and that interaction between a male and a woman, or a man and a woman, is needed for the population of the earth and procreation. So I totally get that, and I understand that for sure. Like I said again, yeah, if I had a kid, I would prefer them to be hetero, but if they didn't, I'm not about to, they're not about to, they're still going to be my kid, right? I'm not going to think any different of them. I'm not going to have any kind of different love for them if they, if they were hetero, you know what I mean? Like, it's still my kid. I'm still going to love them the same no matter what. So, but again, what I was getting at is, we try to make it seem like, so we let society basically dictate how we perceive things. Like, out here in Austin area, there's this beach called, dang, I can't remember. But anyways, it's a new beach out here, I don't really know if it's really a beach because, Austin ain't really, anyways. But yeah, it's a nude beach out here. And, when people think about nudity, they always think of, they are always trying to sexualize something or thinking perverted thoughts. But the thing is, you were born naked. So, like, I mean, let's be real, you know what I mean? But like I said, I think we let society dictate how we perceive things too much. And people, you know, the same people who will say, like, you know, what I just said, you're still letting it influence you because you didn't take the time to step outside of that box of what society told you what is and what's not. So my point is, especially for us black people, like, or really actually different cultures. So different cultures have worn what's called skirts, right? So now in today's society, a skirt is only for women. So if you see a guy wearing a skirt, you're gonna sit there and look at him and make fun of him or whatever and tell him how he's gay or he's a fag and all this kind of stuff. But if I was to then in that same moment bring up, especially I'm speaking about my own people, but like I said, different cultures. But if I was to bring up how, like, you know, African tribes used to wear skirts and stuff, they'd be like, no, that's different. Okay, but you just said the fact that he's wearing a skirt, that he's gay and he's a fag. But I bring up skirts about our ancestors and some people still in Africa who aren't gay wearing skirts, and you say it's different. So either it's the same or it's not. Either it's homo or it's hetero. I see what I did there. But no, like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're saying the skirt is gay, then the skirt is gay. Like, a skirt is gay. There is no exception. If it is, that's what it is. So we can't, you know, we need to stay focused on one of them. If we're going to say guys wearing skirts is gay, we need to make sure it goes all across the board. And it needs to go all the way back in time as well. Now, I get that you're saying that the way that he's wearing the skirt is different, or the particular type of skirt he has is different. Okay. I feel that, you know, the individual should say that. If it's too much for you to say, then don't say anything. Keep your fucking mouth closed is how I feel. If you don't want to go ahead and explain everything, right? If it's too much for you to explain, then just walk away and exit yourself out of the situation. And the same thing with what we say are women's dresses. You know, again, if you look at the same type of skirt or dress type of how it fits on someone's body, it's similar to, again, what, you know, what people have worn in Africa, or like I said, different cultures. It's a similar type of thing. The only kind of difference is from what people have worn traditionally to what people are wearing culturally now is maybe the patterns and maybe the design or the cut of it, but it's still similar. So I know people were ragging on Jaden Smith because he was wearing some skirts and stuff like that. Granted, no, I'm not gonna wear one just because I don't like them. I mean, shit. But to me, it's really about the individual and how you're rocking it and who you are. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, people ask, well, what did you think about it? Honestly, I didn't care, because, like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm not worrying about what Jaden Smith is wearing. I'm not worrying about what the homosexual people that live across the hallway are doing. Like, if that's what you wake up focusing on, again, I feel like you got your priorities mixed up. Like, there's way stuff worse in the world than what, you know, who somebody's sleeping with. Again, like I said, I don't have problems with them. I have more problems with the educational system. I have more problems with the injustice system. I have more problems with these fake ass black people who saying that they woke now. Those are where my problems reside. I have problems with black people saying how we need to support black businesses, but some of you black people don't support my black businesses. You know, that's where my issue resides. Let's get all that shit fixed first, and then we can talk about homosexuality or whatever, if that's what you're trying to talk about. But that you know what I mean? Like, again, what people are doing in their spare time and who the fucking is not, that ain't even on my radar. I don't care, because to me it's no different from you having a homegirl or homeboy and you don't like their mate. You know, like, I don't like you, but, you know, I'm not about to be waking up like, dang, I don't like this dude that's dating my homegirl. Unless he abusing her or, you know, something like that, then yeah, if that person is actually a threat, then yeah, I can understand. But, like, people are people. That has nothing to do their gender and who they like to identify themselves as, or who they like to be intimate with. That has nothing to do with anything, you know, unless they, you know, I was about to say something about going to that topic later. But again, that's my issue. with people and that. But here's the kind of thing, an off-topic thing, and I'll jump right back on there. So to my homies out there, right? When you be saying, man, dude, a dick rider, whose dick is he riding? Is he riding yours? And when people be like, man, get off my dick. And you know, dudes say it to other dudes, man, get off my dick. Okay. First of all, I never say that. Let me tell you why. Because if you have to tell another dude to get off of your dick, that means he was on there. Now, even if you was like, oh, he got on my dick for a second, why is your dick out? I know I'm being crazy, but I'm just saying, like, we talk about people being so fucking homophobic, but then y'all say stuff like, get off my dick. Hell no, fool. Like, ain't no dude on my dick. He ain't even close to my dick for me to be like, get away from my dick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, if we gonna sit here and judge these homosexuals and be all homophobic, we need to go ahead and change our vocabulary then and switch up the way we be saying stuff. I'm just saying. And another thing, you know, I've heard super straight dudes who claim to be straight. Y'all talk about being in the locker room, and y'all be talking about, oh man, this dude got a little ass dick, blah, 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 blah. You know, y'all have that locker room talk, and I've heard people try to justify, man, we just bullshitting around. Man, that's gay. That's all I'm saying. If you talk about another dude dick, you gay. Even if you can date all the women in the world, that's gay. That's gay. And I remember as a kid, I'm going off topic a little bit, but I'll come back. But as a kid, I used to say that all the time, you know, that's gay. And that's one thing I started to realize how offensive that could be just by making every object gay. Because I had a gay female friend at the time, or lesbian female friend. And I was like, something happened. And I was like, man, that's gay. And she was like, what's gay about it? Huh? What's gay about it? And she kept asking me, and I had this stupid ass look on my face like, I don't know. I don't know. It's because, you know, now I look stupid and dumb, but it made sense. And like, I apologized, and she understood where I was coming from. She knew what I meant. She knew I wasn't homophobic, but like the point that she was making is like basically don't be calling shit gay when that's not it, you know? So I was like, I totally get it. So yeah, I totally get it. But anyways, but the issue I do have kind of, I guess, with some homosexuals, and not necessarily. So basically, I was talking about adding gender to the different things, right? So I think I have issue with, I guess, if this is a proper way of saying it, misappropriation of gender, where you'll have either, like I said, a woman or a male say that they're a woman, you know. I'm not talking about someone who's transitioning or transgender, but like a gay male or a lesbian woman who maybe have more traits to. So basically, a woman who is more masculine and a male who's more feminine, but sometimes both sides go to the extreme levels of their perception of the opposite sex. And sometimes I have an issue with that because it's like, you know, no one of the other gender acts to that extreme, and if they do, they shouldn't. So it's like, that's not the best representation of that particular gender, you know what I mean? Because I know some lesbian studs, and they just educate some people. So the more masculine of the couple in a relationship of lesbians is stud. They're not called dykes. They're not called butch. Just to educate some people. And I grew up, again, I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I grew up, you know, saying the word faggot and stuff like that, and didn't really know that was an offensive word. Because honestly, we weren't educated like that as kids. Like, I don't think I even knew the word gay. I knew faggot. And I don't think when I was saying it, I was legitimately talking about someone who was homosexual. And I'm not even sure if I even knew that. But like, that was the word I knew. So I was like, well, this person that is a homosexual, you know, not knowing the word homosexual like this, describing that person, I call them faggots because that's what I knew and learned that particular person was. And as I got older and found out that's and learned the word gay, then I stopped saying faggot because I realized that was an offensive word. And then as I got more older and started learning the word homosexual, then like, you know, and so forth. But anyways, I can get like some stud lesbians. Sometimes I feel like some of them act way too hard, and then I feel like some gay men act way, and I'm saying way too feminine. Basically, what my point is, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like I feel like sometimes those individuals are doing the extreme. Because I know some dudes, like some straight dudes, who want to be like super rough and tough like all the time, like shit. Like to me personally, that's not even the best representation of males. Like we ain't gotta always be like that. We ain't gotta be walking around grabbing our dicks and shit and trying to act like we so thug and shit. Like to me, some of the toughest gangsters and thugs out there ain't ever gotta talk about being gangster. They just be gangster. You ain't gotta talk about being a thug. You just a thug, but like you got that thug mentality. You just do shit that, you know, thug ways. You know what I mean? But you ain't gotta be arrogant and even talk about it. You know what I mean? Like even like say a tough guy or a strong male, you don't have to walk around and talk about that you're strong all the time. You just be strong. When situations arise, you show your strength at that moment, but you can be humble the whole time. And that's how I feel like. And same thing with some women. You know, some women can like be promiscuous and, you know, sexy, and then they could be loud and some that, you know, sometimes like that too, but they're not always like that. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes I feel like it's just the misrepresentation of genders. Especially if I mean this is my only thing. Again, I've met both male and female. I've met a gay male and a lesbian who are to those extremes that I'm talking about, and I'm cool with them. I mean, like I don't have any issues with them. So even if they heard this podcast and they come to me and confront me about it, I don't have an issue with you, not at all. Like I'm just saying that. But at the same time, I feel like this would be a good conversation for us to have if you feel like I am saying something offensive. But like I said, I don't mean it in a harmful way. I'm just saying, like, I feel like some people have a misrepresentation of the other. And I'm really talking about a specific group of people. Now, I know some gay men who might wear, you know, feminine clothes. I'm not talking about you specifically. I know some gay women that might wear male clothes. Again, not, you know what I'm saying? It's not the specifics, or it's not, I'm not generalizing that. I'm saying there's some extreme where it's just like, okay, come on, like, you know, that's all I'm saying. But like, so with that said, and I mentioned the LGBT community, this is a question for the people in that community. Did you all agree upon being grouped with everyone in the sense? So like lesbian and gay, I can kind of see because, you know, but the lesbians and gays want to be grouped with bisexuals or transgenders or queer. Did you even want to be called queer? Did everybody agree upon that? You know what I mean? Because I feel like that sometimes where, like, you know, people say politically correct, but it's like, do the demographic of people actually agree on what people are classifying as politically correct? And I'm just wondering, like, because I had a conversation with a friend who was taking like some kind of studies in college. I want to say it might have been called like homosexual studies. I don't really remember, but she learned about the word queer in the Q, and she was like, what? Like, she didn't call herself a queer. And like, and that was almost offensive to her to hear queer. So it's like, you know, and to me, the queer is kind of weird, and it's ironically I say that because the word queer originally meant weird. And the same thing with the word gay meant happy, but like queer has always meant just weird. It doesn't mean, has nothing to do with homosexuality. So anybody could be queer, anybody could be weird. And really what that means is just different, because weird just really just means out of the norm, unnormal, quote unquote, you know what I'm saying? So I guess if you're really listening and understand what I'm saying, you feel what I'm saying. Like I say, you know, lesbian, gay, and I can understand bisexual, but to me, I don't know. I'm probably ranting and going on a rant, but I feel like I don't think people need classifications like that all the time. I mean, because again, like, you could be talking to a gay male or a female and not even know. Like, they can, quote unquote, look straight, you know, and look normal, quote unquote, but like, you wouldn't even know until they actually told you that, oh no, I'm not into the same sex. I like, or I'm into the same sex. I don't like the opposite one or whatever. Like, you wouldn't even know. I mean, there are some people where you'd be like, you can make assumptions, But again, for the most part, you really don't know unless they kind of tell you or unless they kind of tell you or show you. But yeah, I feel like we as a people always are trying to fight for equality, but then we segregate ourselves with different classifications and names and groups. But at the same time, it sucks because sometimes you have to, because you have people who are constantly discriminate. So it's like these groups find themselves being pushed into corners, and they have to form groups and alliances and allies. So they can, not keep getting segregated and pushed to the side. So I feel as a people's, the way we can start changing and all these kind of stigmas is just calling people, you know what I mean? Because people everywhere you go. Like, and speaking of the, the LGBTQ, I heard people trying to add a P in there for pedophiles, and that's some fucked up shit. And let me tell you why. I can tell you why on all sorts of levels. But first of all, none of those groups of people no one try to include pedophiles. Again, that's another society thing. Some people try to spread that shit over social media. That's not a thing. And for you people who think that lesbians and gays are prone to be pedophiles, that is highly fucking incorrect, because your average pedophile is somebody who sometimes, for a male pedophile, they're raping girls or boys. So if they're raping a girl, that doesn't make them gay. And then your average pedophile, or I'll say even, a child molester, which to me it's the same thing, but somebody, doing something with a minor, a lot of times they look like me and you. They're a black activist in the community, they're a politician, they're somebody who is in good standings in the community or in your family. They're your uncles or your brothers, you know what I mean? The people that you would have never thought to do something like that are the ones that are doing it. There's a lot of molestation in families that is often neglected or kicked to the wayside because people don't want to recognize different things that happen. But then once it really comes out to the light, now you want to apologize to your child about it. But at that point, it's too late. Like, unless you know that your child is just always lying all the time, then maybe. But even that, if your kid comes to you saying that somebody touched them, to me, it's at least worth the investigation. Even if your kid isn't a habitual liar, it's at least worth the investigation to at least go check into it. Because, you have all these, you have a lot of molestation and all this going around out there that's been going around for too long. And you got people who have been molested and touched as kids who will never, ever come out and say that, what's happened to them, just because they're kind of in fear and the mental is altered. And now, somebody might, be helping many kids' lives and all this stuff, and maybe hasn't touched anybody since you, but you don't want to ruin their lives because they're such a good, upstanding citizen or whatever. But you know what I mean? But it ain't the LGBT community out here doing it. It's everybody in the straight community who is doing it. Like, I know some gay men and women who were helping kids through a whole bunch of shit, and none of them have even had a thought in their mind about touching no damn kid, and nor have they ever. And they might have been molested themselves, but they're not passing that along to anybody. And here's the thing about that as well. So while we're fixated on hating to the gays and lesbians or whatever, do we ever try to take the time to understand why they are the way they are? And that's kind of really part of this point in my podcast doing this, is we need to take the time to understand people, because you got victims out here, and some of these people in this community have been victimized, and we are too busy judging who they are now, but not understanding why they are the way they are. So while we're so fixated and be like, oh, look at this fucking faggot and these nasty homosexuals, blah blah blah, da 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 da, then you got the person who made them the way that they are, or who victimized them or molested them, right on the front line with you, like, yeah, those fags and blah blah blah. But the thing is, that's your homeboy. Your homeboy is the one who made him or her have these kind of feelings, you know what I mean? So while we're sitting here judging these people, we need to start looking at people in our own community and stop being ignorant to, certain things and speculations that people are saying. Yeah, I know people will, make up lies and stuff about somebody that they despise. So, that's one of the worst things you can call somebody, is a pedophile or a child molester. And, people try to ruin careers. But again, if somebody says that, at least take a look into it and observe some stuff. Don't be naive to different stuff they saying. I'm not about to go into the R. Kelly spill, but people like, well, do you still listen to R. Kelly? Bitch, I ain't never listened to R. Kelly. I never liked R. Kelly. He's been telling you who he was for all this time. And I feel bad for the people who were his victims, and their parents sold them off to R. Kelly. And I feel bad for you people who are so shocked to hear these kind of things. Like, he's been telling you all this time who he was. He's been doing, this ain't new. So when those different videos and allegations came out or whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, like, why y'all so surprised? And I feel like those people who were like super surprised, you probably have people in your family who've been molested and probably confronted you about it, and you didn't want to act upon it. So, you know what I mean? Like let's start reflecting on ourselves, people, and start looking around ourselves before we sit here judging people outside of your circle like that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, the issue ain't the homosexuals. You know what I mean? Now, there's some homosexuals are fucked up individuals because people are people, and it just so happens that they're also homosexual. And it's the same thing with heterosexual people. You know what I mean? We got fucked up heterosexual people, and there's what gender they're into doesn't have anything to do with their actions. It just so happens that they're also this, right? So anyways, basically my whole point that I'm just making with this is, let's stop fixated on what homosexuals are doing, and let's start trying to fix ourselves, and let's start trying to fix the world, because that's where the issue resides. I know people talk about procreation. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but like, people talk about procreation and saying homosexuality basically can't be an aid in procreation in the population of the world. I totally get it, even though there's, you know, scientific ways that could be done, because, you know, some people can't have children naturally, so some of these things have to be done, such as myself. I can't have children. Well, obviously I can't, but you know what I mean? But like, I'm not able to give my wife children. So should I be over there a part of the people who can't help the world be populated? Are you saying I should be cast aside and burned down and all this bullshit? If so, let me know, so we can go ahead and see where our friendship stands. But my point I'm trying to make right now is, there's other ways for the world to be, you know, for procreation, because, you know, we got to think over the times. Some people and some scientists have made people sterile, and the things that you put in these food are making more and more people sterile. Like I said, IVF and like in vitro fertilization, but like fertility and all this stuff wasn't an issue a long time ago. And what you got to think, what has changed now? Why are some people being born with more estrogen and more testosterone? You know what I mean? Like, so we're too busy focusing on the results of things of the world, but we're not trying to fix the causes of them. So I'm saying let's work on that thing first. And for people who are like, well, you know, the gays can't help with procreation. Shit, look at this world. Like, why would we want to bring more children into this society? Our society in this world is broken. So why would we want to populate this world if we're not even trying to fix it? You know what I mean? All we're going to do is just bring in more people that are in the same mindset as us, and the same thing's going to happen. Like, so what's the point? I actually wrote a song. I wrote this song called Abortion, and basically it's saying like, basically society's fucked up, so I'm down for abortion kind of thing. It's kind of, obviously it's controversial, but the point is, like, you know, we talk about our children are our future. That's part of the chorus. If our children are our future, then our future is screwed. Look at all the bullshit we put them through. We constantly lying, we constantly fighting. Domestic, international wars, just violence. The protectors are the killers and the murderers are heroes. If you love life on this pop scale of 0, their minds are infused with confusion, distortion. So I say fuck the children, down for abortion. And basically saying, like, we talk about our children are our future, but we put them through all this hell. And like I said, our children are getting molested. Our children are seeing their parents get murdered in front of their faces. Our children are getting beat. Our children are still being bullied by ridiculousness. Our children are still facing racism. Our children are are not even being fed properly. Our children are still living in poverty. Our children are being abandoned. Our children are living on the streets and having to fend for themselves because their parents actually can't make enough money because they're living in poverty that's been trickled down throughout their whole life. Our children, again, like I said, are born with too much estrogen, or being born with too much testosterone. Our children are being born with mental illnesses because the parents want to be on drugs that the society has fed them because they couldn't cope with society, because they didn't get the help that they needed as a child because of something that happened to them. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we're too busy focusing on homosexuals, but we need to be trying to focus on our future. And homosexuals ain't the ones that's corrupting the future right now. It's again, people like us. Ain't no homosexuals running the office. Let's think about that. Who's the president of the United States? Who's the president of and leaders of the world? It ain't no homosexuals. They ain't the ones fucking up shit in the world. Ain't no homosexual that's causing wars to happen and fighting the war on terrorism. Fuck, the homosexuals ain't even the terrorists. So we too busy focusing on what the homosexuals doing while we being killed by the people that we sitting here putting in power. That's my point. Again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm on a soapbox, but I'm just saying, people, we got to start thinking differently if we want this world to change and things to change in society. We too busy fixating on stupid ass shit. And like, again, like, I'm a big advocate for children. So like, why you over here thinking about homosexuals and you waking up thinking about homosexuals and what they doing? Worry about your kids that's probably getting their ass kicked somewhere, or they might be being molested in your house because you too busy focusing on some dumb shit. So again, Devin Boyd, aka Lyrical Instrumentalist. Thank y'all for tuning in to ConverStayShuns. Again, hope I didn't offend anybody, but like, the world's starting to piss me off, y'all. Like, we gotta start doing some things differently and stop being we need to get out of our own heads and our own ego, because your ego ain't getting you nowhere. All right, peace.